Alrighty, hello everyone. Welcome back. It is Monday, December 22nd, just a few days before Christmas. I hope you had a good weekend. I hope your Christmas plans are coming together without too much stress and fuss. If you do Christmas, Merry Christmas to everyone. This video, I am going to start painting my roads here. Just a refresher, I've got 1/8 inch balsa wood for my foundation, if you will, and that was treated with varathane. Oops, get that in the camera there. Hopefully you can see that all right. This is a spray as opposed to the can of liquid. As far as I can tell, it's pretty much the same thing. And I coated the balsa wood with gave the balsa wood 2 coats of the varathane. And then after gluing it down with some basic wood glue, I then coated the road surface with crackle paste and gave that 2 coats. Except here between the rails, I believe it was a 3-coat treatment here between the rails. Each layer being a thin layer in and of themselves. But these roads are 2 layers, and this is 3 layers. And the end result is a cracked surface, very much like asphalt. I'm not sure if I've seen concrete look like this. Maybe it does. But for me, based on many roads I've seen around the area I live, especially older roads, this is pretty realistic, I think. And got this little gap here where I mismeasured the balsa and decided, I'm not going to worry about it. I'm not going to put anything here. This is a practice board, and if this was the actual layout, I'd make sure it came to the edge and then have the fascia in front of it and look nice and pretty and complete. But again, this is a practice board, and so I'm not going to worry about just a little gap. Before I forget, also as a reminder, the underside of each of the balsa sheets on either side of the track, roughly this point along on each side. Underneath, I sanded it down to a little less than a 1/16 of an inch, I believe, just so it was even with the tops of the rails, and it would go over the ballast and the ties. And in another video, I believe I posted yesterday, I ran the locomotive back and forth to make sure this would actually work the way I was hoping it would, which is a more realistic look to a grade crossing of a road. And seemed to work okay. And I think I'll continue this process on the main layout when I get to that point. But now it's had sufficient amount of time to dry, and I'm ready to paint. And you can see here 3 paints that I'll be using. These are all Vallejo Model Air acrylic paints. And I'm going from light to dark, so essentially 3 layers of the paints. Right here is pale blue gray 71.046, After that will be dark gray blue, and that is 71.054. And then this third layer, the darkest layer, will be dark sea gray 71.0. Get that in the camera. Dark sea gray 71.053. And then this is just a simple little spray bottle of distilled water. I'm sure tap water works just as well, but I'm curious to see once it's all done, just as I did with as I'm starting with the terrain, in this case soil, building up layers of soil to foliage, if it makes a difference between distilled and tap water, because distilled water, of course, has pretty much as clean as it comes, whereas tap water has, depending on where you live, different chemicals and whatnot to make it safe for consumption. I don't know how much it would affect the paints or anything that I'm doing here, but I'm curious to see how it works. And so I will get started with this. And this is a brush I'm using. It's kind of translucent in the handle here. It's a 1/2 inch brush, Princeton brand, Velvetouch line. And it works equally well with acrylic or oils. I've used it with both acrylic and oil paints now. I'm starting to do some weathering of my rolling stock and locomotives, which is another learning process because I've really never done that sort of thing before. So I've been watching quite a few videos, learning from people who know a lot more about it than I do, have a lot more experience with it. Trying to think of the one channel I've watched a whole bunch of. Dan's Model Railroad stuff, something like that. I apologize. I'll have to get that corrected make sure I have it correct in the description when I post this. Before I forget, the method for the painting, for the whole road creation process, and then for up to the final paint and weathering, I picked up from @Boomer Diorama, his channel. He's got a lot of great things there, especially for someone like me who's complete noob in this hobby. Many great things to learn from there. But this is a method he shows and has used, or continues to use, I guess, that I decided I wanted to try my hand at on my little practice board. So, first up, I've got gonna have to do a little treatment with just the water. Excuse me. And this is just a simple little mister my wife picked up for me. Came in like a 3-pack. I don't remember where she got them, but just a basic little mister. I have to admit, there's a little bit of trepidation in this, again, because I've never done it. I have no experience, and even though this is a practice board, you still don't want to make mistakes. You still want to do the best you can, and which is what I will do. And I can always make another practice board. I have more foam, I have more track, I have more ballast, I have more soil materials, I have more balsa wood, more crackle, so I can do it again. But It's one reason we practice, is to get better. So here we go. Now, as I'm wetting this down, I'm hoping that the Varathane that I coated the balsa wood with keeps it from warping as it's supposed to do. We shall find out. And get some drops going here. Oop. Now on the out of frame to the right, I have going this way a stretch of the balsa wood runs along the front edge here. And I know the way this is supposed to work is using water, lots of water. Spray it down. Wet on wet technique. Anybody who's familiar with painting and uses watercolors, acrylics, I guess oils as well. I mean, oils typically take quite a bit longer to dry than acrylic, unless you're using, like with acrylics, I know there are products you can use for extending the dry time of the paint. I've worked with acrylics myself quite a bit in years past. I'm originally graduated from art school in 1989 with a degree in graphic design, but I've also done some painting and illustration, but most of that has been, at least with paint, was acrylics. Well, I did some color pencil work, which I like. Of course, that is not a wet medium like oils and acrylics. And I'm not sure how well this is showing up. Not sure how well this shows up on camera until I can get better lighting. And if anyone out there watching this video has suggestions on lighting for this sort of thing, I'm more than happy to take those suggestions into account. I know for lighting, when it comes to the actual layout, I have an idea of what I'm going to do for lighting there. It'll be fun trying to clean off these rails after painting. When I was putting the crackle paste down, it was easier, especially across the track here, it was easier to get the grooves in there for the wheels to travel through freely, but maintain the effect of asphalt between them. And using the sanding block, which one of these 220 grit in this case, but sanding each layer of the crackle paste between the tracks and just everywhere else. I momentarily forgot what I was saying. I also found that it does a decent job on the tops of the rails for cleaning those up, and providing better contact between electrical contact between the rail and locomotives. But at the moment, I'm not sure. I have to think about it. Not sure what I'll do to clean the rails again. But I think my first pass here with the acrylic, doesn't look half bad. There are subtle variations in tone, which of course you'll see in a real street. The cracks are standing out more. Again, I don't know if that picks up well on camera with the current setup. But that's pretty much it for the moment. That's the first layer, using the pale blue gray color, and after this dries, the next color will be dark gray blue, and then of course the final layer will be this dark sea gray. And then after that, I'll see how it looks. Maybe use a fine tip brush to highlight some cracks, or I don't know, a couple of spots here I'm seeing some little divots, if you will, that I think will lend themselves well to kind of a pothole effect, or just rough, worn road. Anyway, there you go. Please leave comments and advice, etc., etc. I'm always open to those things. And see, what is it, YouTube? Thumbs up if you like it. Share, comment, I think. But thank you for watching.